Hi, it's Dr Natalie of Dr GoFigure, and this episode is all about mindset. Now, I'm sure you appreciate that without a good mindset, you can't really achieve anything worthwhile in life. Everything you do starts first of all with a belief that you can get the promotion, or you can start your own business, or you can run the marathon, or you can lose weight. If we think of life as a journey, then there has to be a starting point. And so the starting point is basically right here, right now. If you've made the decision that you want to lose weight and you believe you can do it, then today is our starting point. Now, I'm a huge believer that it doesn't really matter where you are in life. It doesn't really matter if you think up until now your life's been a total mess or a disaster or whatever you want to say about it. I believe that you're right where you should be. This is where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be watching this podcast, listening to this, and just letting go of all of that stuff that may have held you back before now. Because today we're going to talk about how to get rid of self-limiting beliefs to allow yourself to move forward. Now, the Dr GoFigure program is, of course, about losing weight, but far more importantly to me, it's about keeping that weight off, and it's about going forward for the rest of your life in a much happier and healthier state. So if we're at the start of the journey, the first thing we're going to do is get you onto the StyQ 3D body scanner, because this is going to show you what your basal metabolic rate is, where you're storing fat. It gives you this scan. It's not a photograph, it's a scan. And then you can look in black and white to see exactly what your body shape looks like. Now, for some people, this is a real eye-opener, because I think a lot of us can sort of tell ourselves, oh, it's not that bad or whatever. But then when you see it and you're like, oh, goodness, especially from behind, oh, I didn't realize I was holding so much fat there or whatever. It can be the exact kickstart that we need. The second starting point on the Dr GoFigure program is that we need to know what you're eating. And it's not about shaming you or judging you. It's about you being super honest with yourself and saying, actually, I eat this and then I drank that. And I was terrible on Sunday because I was hungover, and then I ate that and that. You know what? That's all fine, because the whole point of Dr GoFigure is to understand where we're at and then make these small adjustments every single day to become our better selves. So it's all about starting the journey, embracing where you are so that we can take you to your next level. So one of the tools that we like to use here is we've got this amazing metabolic tracker called a Lumen device, and you basically breathe into it and then it works out how much CO2 you've breathed into it, and that will tell you basically, are you just burning off your last meal or are you burning off fat? And of course, while we're on Dr GoFigure, we are trying to get you more into fat burning mode. But again, it's got this brilliant thing on it where you can track all your calories. And this is where you've got to be honest. So you need to just basically say everything that you're doing. Now, to be honest with you, I definitely find this aspect of things a bit tiresome. I'm super busy, and I know you probably are as well. And I find it very difficult to find that time to do the calorie tracking. Oh, I've had that and I had that and I had to weigh that out and I did that. But for other people, what they found is that by using these apps, they start gaming themselves. So I genuinely know of one lady that went from a size 18 to a size 10 purely from using one of these calorie tracking apps. And she used it every single day for 2 years. She didn't stop. She used it even on Christmas Day when she'd eaten the Christmas pudding and drank the champagne and everything like that. But she tracked absolutely everything all the time. And because she was so into it, she didn't want to lose her 2-year streak. And why would you? That's amazing. But for her, this was the focus she needed to start losing weight. So for some people, those kind of apps work amazingly well. For me, I find them really boring. However, I definitely think we should all be doing it for those first few days. If you've made the decision that you want to lose weight, that you're unhappy with how you look or feel, and this is it, you've made this decisive change that you don't want to be overweight anymore, well, then the first thing is you have to back yourself. We lose confidence in ourselves because we often make declarations. Oh, I'm gonna run a marathon, and I'm gonna lose 5 stone, and I'm going to walk every day, and I'm going to make my business so massive that it's going to be worth blah, blah, blah. Okay. And we make these declarations all the time. But if you don't back yourself, all that happens is actually you will lose confidence in yourself. You will be that person that you'll say something, but you won't even believe it. Now, if you're a person that says something and doesn't even believe what you're said, then you've honestly got no chance. So you've got to start backing yourself. You've got to say, I am losing the weight and I am going to make the changes. And so the first thing to do is you say, I'm losing the weight. If you sign up for the Dr GoFigure program, fantastic, because we're going to keep you accountable. But you've got to keep yourself accountable too. I want you to come into this clinic every single week and say, you know what, Natalie, I did it. I didn't eat any chocolate this week, or I've reduced the amount of milk in my coffee, or I don't drink Monday through Thursday anymore. I want you to be the person that suddenly starts relying on themselves, because as a culture, I think it's a human thing that we get really carried away in the moment. We make some great big declaration and honestly, we don't back ourselves. And it's these little micro failures time and again that will erode your confidence. And at the end of the day, you will become somebody that just doesn't believe a word that they even say. And that is such a sad place to be. But it's not irreversible. It's reversible. And it's starting to basically take responsibility for what you're saying and back yourself. So why is making change so difficult? I'm sure you probably have an internal dialogue any time that you've got a major decision to make. You know, should I put the house on the market? Should I take that promotion? Should I get married? Whatever it is, there's always something holding you back. And the thing that holds us back most of the time is our 2 million-year-old brain. Okay, the only function of our ancient brain is to keep you alive. And your brain knows that by you doing exactly what you do all day, every day, that keeps you alive, that keeps you safe. So this part of the brain doesn't like change. This part of the brain will be fighting you when you go, you know what, I am going to lose the weight. Because that part of the brain will be like, are you sure? Are you sure this program's for you? But you've tried diets in the past and failed. I'm just not sure this is this diet's the right thing for you at the moment. And you'll get all of this internal doubt. And that really is just your ancient brain on the lookout for things that are new and different, because it doesn't understand them and it doesn't know if they're going to be risky for you. And its preference always is to say no first. So change is difficult, and making that decision that you want to be somebody different and you want to move forward, that's difficult, because you do have to come something evolutionary within your brain to tell it that actually, no, I've got this, I am going to make this decision, I am going to move forward, I am going to get fitter and healthier for the rest of my life. And then not only do we have an ancient brain that's against everything we ever seem to want to do, but we also have the chatter in our mind. Now, some people are more in tune with this than others, and some people will be, if I talk about the voice inside their head, they think I've got some kind of mental illness, that we shouldn't have voices inside our head. But we all do, and some people are highly aware of it and some people are not very aware of it. But I'll bring it to your attention just in case you're not really sure what I'm talking about. But the voice inside of your head is that often really negative self-talk. It's definitely the friend you don't need in your life. It's the one that when you look in your mirror will be like, oh goodness, really? Didn't you let yourself go? Or you say to yourself, I'm going to go on a diet. And that voice will be like, but you've tried diets before. I just don't think you're a diet kind of a person. The reason I knew about the voice in my side of my head is I was driving one day, and I think I'm a quite nice person on the whole. And anyway, I just caught a glimpse of somebody, and this horrible judgy voice just popped up in my head. And I thought, I don't think like that. Where did that come from? And it was the first time I think I just doubted that voice inside my head. I think up until that moment, I was more than happy to think that those thoughts were me. Those thoughts aren't you. It's literally mindless chatter that just comes through your head all the time. But a lot of people get very confused by the mindless chatter and think it's them. It's not you. It is honestly just a mindless chatter. I'm not probably explaining it the best ever. There is a great book called The Chimp Paradox by, let me just check my notes, Professor Steve Peters. It's a really great book for starting to understand what on earth's going on in your head when you think it's you and it's not really you. I've probably just caused so much confusion here. I'm sorry. Go and read Professor Steve Peters. He's definitely got this bit nailed. But the point I'm trying to make to us is that don't listen to the negative self-talk. You can appreciate it's just there. You don't need to listen to it. And sometimes, if I'm in that moment and the doubt starts to creep in for whatever I'm trying to do, I've got a big dream or a big ambition, I want to do this, and then all of a sudden that negative self-talk starts. First thing is you have to be aware of it, and second thing, you just kindly say, actually, I don't need your input right now. Don't need this. I've got this, thank you. And then tune into the thoughts that you actually want to create. That is going to be very, very important in your journey to weight loss. The ability to turn off the negative self-talk. You wouldn't, I hope, put up with a friend that was constantly in your ear telling you how awful and pathetic you were, would you? So why are you listening to it from your own mind? It's just time to turn it down and just start getting on with the life that you want to create for yourself. So I will tell you a little bit about mindset and how I came to really understand it and appreciate it. And it wasn't until kind of fairly recently, really, that this has made any impact in my life at all. And it wasn't until my life had gone so horribly wrong that I just doubted absolutely everything I did. So I made some poor choices around about 2016, and then I was filled with fear and dread and stress. And I lived in fear and dread and stress for probably about 2 to 3 years after it. And the negative self-talk, my mind told me how rubbish and pathetic I was, not every day, every minute of every day. Every minute of every day, I had to listen to negative self-talk, and my self-confidence was rock bottom. And my enjoyment or love of life was rock bottom. And I honestly didn't even know how to get out of it. And it wasn't until everything felt broken. Everything I touched was broken. Nothing was working. And I genuinely didn't know what to do. It's got so bad, I'll tell you what I did do, but this was kind of setting me on the path, and you probably think I'm bonkers, but I hope you don't. It got so bad that I decided I was going to get some spiritual cleansers into my business, into my house, because I thought, I felt not possessed, I felt, what's the word? See, look, brain fog. Cursed. What a terrible word to use. But I did. I just thought, I've done something I'm not proud of, but I don't seem to be able to get out of it now. And everything I touch just seems rubbish. And I don't know how I'm ever going to live the life I want. And it wasn't until that moment when I got the spiritual cleansers in, which actually I really enjoyed, and they got rid of some bad spirits and things, that I realised that probably the issue I really had was not external but internal. And at that point, I realised I had to go and do work on myself. I had to start appreciating what I was thinking and doing, and how that was basically creating a life of stress and fear, and honestly, a feeling of doom all the time. You can imagine what a miserable place that was to be. But when I started doing reading and listening to podcasts and finding a way through it all, and really working on my mindset, that's when things massively started to improve. And now I feel like I'm on my way to becoming the person I want to become, the person that I can be proud of, the person that achieves things, the person that has a lovely family around them and great friends. And I feel like because of this horrible thing that happened and the learning I had to go through to appreciate that there was something sort of within me that needed fixing, and that thing within me that needed fixing really was more mindset than anything else. That's when life started coming back together again for me, and I've moved on. And I've read a book recently called I May Be Wrong, and it was written by a monk. And in it, he just says, I think everybody will go through a moment in time that they've caused themselves by their own bad thinking, by their own bad actions. Because I thought maybe this is something, if I could teach my children mindset, they'll never have to have the fear and the pain and anguish I went through. I don't think that's true. I think maybe we're all supposed to go through it, because until you go through it, you will never learn. Some people will never learn anyway. They'll just go through it and sort of stay there. And some people will learn and get through it really quickly. And I think I got stalled in life for probably about 3 years, if I'm honest. But I do think learning mindset and learning the fundamentals really about what we're about will help anybody. And if you're on a weight loss journey, sometimes we really have to examine our thoughts about what we believe about ourselves and go on this journey of, I know this sounds cliched, but this journey of self-discovery, because I think that's what life's actually about. I think we're all supposed to start as a a little baby human being, but as we go through life, we're supposed to grow through life. We're not supposed to, sort of stay as an adolescent. I know I definitely have friends who are just adolescents. They're great fun to be with, but I do think there's got to be growth there, and I think that's what we're here for. I know that's probably slightly not what you were expecting when we're talking about weight loss, but I think this examination of self, especially if you're battling with something like weight, that we need to start there. We need to look through there. So I'm just thinking, what books have I read recently that could be of any help? So 1 second. Right, so I'm back again. I've had to think about which books to read, and obviously, you know how I love to give a bit of homework. So if you're not that familiar with the voice inside your head, then the work we talked about earlier was The Chimp Paradox by Professor Steve Peters. That's just a great one to start understanding that we don't have to listen to every thought that comes through our mind. And the second book that I found really useful when I was going through my dark time was a book by Michael Singer called The Untethered Soul. And really what it's about is kind of just not engaging with all the stress in your life all the time, and appreciating that sometimes we do create our own chaos. It didn't need to be like that. That was definitely a lesson I needed to learn. So anyway, I hope you found that really useful. I hope it helps. I just want you to know that everybody at Dr GoFigure is always on your side. We're always willing you on to be your best self. If you find yourself in moments of confusion, then please just reach out to us, because we're always here to help. So until then, have a very happy and healthy week. Remember, if you like what you see, then please like, share and follow, and you can keep up to date with absolutely everything that we do.